875 KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Monday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. Andy Humphrey, Brenden Schaefer here. It's nicer to talk to you on a Monday after a Mizzou football victory.
That's better.
Hasn't necessarily been the case all that often the last few weeks or so. But that is the case today. Mm-hmm. Ahmad Hardy did some things on Saturday that were quite extraordinary.
It's a perfect game, 300.
There you go. Oh, well, he got a bowling reference in. What do you know?
Didn't even take me a whole minute.
Yeah, that was quick. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the rest of the season, 2 weeks left for Mizzou football. We'll talk about Beau Pribula warming up during the game. He was still ruled out after being doubtful all week. But is there a potential that he could return before the end of the regular season? We'll talk about that. We'll hear Eli Drinkwitz's response to a question about it after the game. You can call or text us with what you think at 875-KTGR. Bill Connelly's going to join us at 425. At 505, we got to talk about the Chiefs and a tough loss in Denver that now makes things very dire when it comes to the rest of the season and playoff chances.
Look, I've been looking forward to talking about the Mizzou win today on the show, but I think I've maybe been looking forward more to just seeing how Andy will react to his beloved Broncos upending the Chiefs yesterday.
What?
No, you hate the Broncos. You've been the biggest hater of the Broncos. You haven't given them any respect, and now,
no, I haven't. And by the way, won't be doing much more
naturally. Naturally, they're going to go 13-4, and the Chiefs are going to go 8-9, and Andy will still be saying, "Well, the Broncos were frauds this year." Okay. We'll talk about it, though. I can't wait.
People were calling the Chiefs frauds after they went 15-2 with a bunch of one-score wins. But I digress. We'll get to it at 5:05. Call or text us at 573-875-5847. You can also tweet us at KTGR Big Show. You can also see us live right now on YouTube, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports. Subscribe to our channel if you don't already. We're also live on Facebook, facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Certainly was a fun win for Mizzou over Mississippi State, 49-27. Fun to watch Ahmad Hardy do his thing. Became the second Tiger ever to have 300 yards rushing in a single game. Joined Devin West. Didn't quite get to his record of 319 rushing for a single game, but finished with 300 on the dot, 3 touchdowns. Mizzou also got 2 defensive scores in the game to help build up their point total against Mississippi State. Get to 7-3 overall, 3-3 in the SEC. They're back in the AP poll this week, number 23 in the country, as they get set to take on number 8 in that poll, Oklahoma, on the road this Saturday with kickoff at 11 a.m. Could potentially see Beau Pribula, who Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports reported could have some optimism as to whether or not he'll be available, ready to go for this weekend. That's the Big Show's big deal on this 17th day of November 2025. Call or text us here at 573-875-KTGR. We can start with the Beau Pribula stuff, I think, because, look, he was throwing before the Mississippi State game, and it wasn't even just throwing. It was moving around, doing some sprints, and from what I could see, all I really saw of him was way up top in the press box on the 6th floor there and trying to look down as to what his leg looked like. Did he have a wrap or anything like that? Didn't look like he did, and seemed to be moving around just fine, which is kind of incredible considering the injury that he had 3 weeks prior. Dislocated ankle. Now, I know it's one of those very few dislocated ankles, according to the reports, that does not require surgery, and whatever it was, less than 1% of those types of injuries. So he got lucky in that sense, but it was still viewed as a timetable of, look, you got to be off that thing for a while and keep it immobilized before you actually get back to some activity. But had the walking boot on in the Texas A&M game, got to be on the sideline, and then here he's going through some football activities, Brenden. No hitting, nothing like that, but at least very intriguing to see Beau Pribula have that.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now with Mizzou football, and that'll be the case over the final couple of weeks of the season. But I really want Beau Pribula to start at Oklahoma. Like that, of all the things that are happening, there's a lot that we can't really know for sure. Well, what do you want the coaching situation to be? Well, love Drink to stay. Is he going to? I don't know.
Right.
All right. Well, if he doesn't stay, who do you want? I don't know. Who are they going to get? I don't know. There's a lot. Who's going to stay? Who's going to leave? I don't know. Transfer portal. It's crazy times. Of all the, uncertainty that's out there, I think the thing I'm pretty confident in is I want to see Beau play if he's healthy enough to do so. Obviously, if he's not, it should go without saying. And already the morons who are Oklahoma fans responding on Twitter, I forgot just how dumb they are. But they're like, well, our pass rush is pretty elite. You wouldn't throw him into the wolves of the pass rush. Okay, it's either that or do it with a true freshman. So either way, I'm acknowledging it's going to be a long shot for Missouri to have success with whichever quarterback they use because, pass rush is elite. That's great. They have given up 344 passing yards per game over the last 3 games, but that's neither here nor there. I'm acknowledging that Oklahoma has a lethal pass rush. But, I think this is the game of football, and if they deem that Beau Pribula is healthy enough to play it, I don't see the need to protect him from the big bads of the Oklahoma Sooners on the defensive front any more than I feel that way about Matt Zollers, who is inexperienced and, still does not look super comfortable even in the win on Saturday.
Right.
So if he's healthy, I'm Team Beau. I don't know what your thoughts are, but that's where I stand.
The opponent shouldn't matter at all. Oklahoma's pass rush versus Vanderbilt's pass rush. What?
Oklahoma fans are a special breed of individual.
Here's where I stand. I would have a higher level of how healthy are you in this situation than I would in most. It's not quite all the way to 100%, but I'd want to make sure that Beau Pribula is at least 90, 95.
I mean, if everybody should be 100% when they play, then if he's
some people
healthy,
don't play 100%. Some people play at 80, but they're still out there because that's better than the alternative.
I'm not asking him to do that. I'm not asking him to do a Brady Cook necessarily, but if they say, hey, he's healthy and he wants to play, from a competitive standpoint, I think Beau gives him a better chance.
Well, I think for sure with him being out there, and if he has a better level of health, certainly than he had before, I would have to think that that's the best course of action with both guys healthy. Just the question becomes, though, how does Beau Pribula recover from activity like that? We saw him throw a bunch and we saw him run a bunch without pads on, and it's not against anyone in particular. And we also didn't see what the recovery process was like. I mean, that's what Will Carroll talks about with us, the injury expert, all the time, is that, maybe you can go out there and do the job, have the activity, but how do you recover from it? And that also will be key, because Beau Pribula not only theoretically would be preparing to play a game on Saturday, but he would have to do so by practicing a bunch that week before and having to recover from each one of those practices. And if he recovers just fine, then there's a better chance that he probably plays. But there's a process to all of it that we don't get to see. And so it's really uncertain. But to me, I'd say if you're at least 90%, then I'd feel okay with him going out there. And again, that's without any kind of insider info or how he actually feels or anything like that, how the coaching staff feels about it. Do they want to see more of Matt Zollers? I wouldn't mind if they did. But again, if it's just about trying to win a big football game this Saturday in a place where you haven't won in nearly or more than 60 years, I think, then you put the best guy out there that can healthily do the job for you.
Yeah. And again, I'll trust the staff to figure out how healthy he is and if he's healthy. But I think that as we're looking back to the Mississippi State game and the performance of Matt Zollers, it still was rather similar, where the passing attack was just not there. In the moments where he
can we say a little
strong,
bit better than the first start? I'd say
yes, because we saw at least one superb throw. I mean, the Alubade touchdown.
It was a great throw.
So maybe we can look at it and say, wow, they really seemed to get him in a nice rhythm when they were able to kind of script their beginning of the game. And then the Joshua Manning touchdown was nice throw, but that Manning was breaking tackles left and right. That was a great play, and really fun way to start the game. After that, though, we just didn't really see anything in terms of Matt Zollers feeling good and comfortable, and like he's just throwing fastballs at everybody, and he's missing a little bit high. The touch isn't there. The rhythm on the throws is not quite there.
The pick was a bad pick.
So yeah, I'm not ruling out Matt Zollers to have a good collegiate career and to be a capable and a starter that you want in the SEC someday. I'm not saying he can't be that. He's not that today, and I understand that Beau Pribula had his limitations as well. But I've seen more from Beau Pribula to lead me to believe that against an Oklahoma defense that, yes, they have a great pass rush if their pass rushers are healthy. They have given up a ton of passing yards. And so of the two, for me to say who's got a better chance, assuming Beau is healthy, it's pretty easily Beau Pribula for me, just in the here and now and where we are. And, is there an emotional element of kind of getting a guy back and having the team rally around that? It's not to say they aren't playing for Zollers, but I do think that if Pribula can play, that would be a heck of a boost because you'd like to just be able to run the ball like you did against Mississippi State, Andy. That will not be possible against Oklahoma, the second-ranked run defense in the country, allowing fewer than 80 yards per game on the ground. Not just like to a player, to everybody on the other team.
Yep.
They are ridiculously good. You think Auburn was something. This is going to be different. And so you can do it one of two ways, Andy. You can run the dang ball and put strength on strength and see what happens. Don't know how well it's going to go. You have to continue to let Hardy try to do his thing. I'm just suggesting it's going to be difficult, and you may want a semblance of balance to your offense. And I just think the guy that's started more games, he's had games where he's thrown for a bunch of yards, even though it was against lesser competition. That would be the guy that, if he's available, I think would be a great boost. And it was a little bit telegraphed last week that we could see something like this when he was doubtful, and they didn't rule him out until game day. That was pretty. You had people wondering Saturday morning when they're seeing him move around on the field before the official report came out.
Right.
That is it. And like, we know that if Eli Drinkwitz wants to, Pete Thamel can tweet out whether a guy's going to play or not. I think there is a little bit of like, I want Beau to be out there and let's drag this out a little bit longer. And everybody kind of thinking about Beau Pribula again. And now it's a possibility, I think, that he would play. And you mentioned the report that suggested as much. I'm very intrigued to see the way that this week goes with that.
573-875-KTGR if you want to give us your thoughts on the situation. You can also leave a comment on Facebook and YouTube, just like Justin did, talking about Matt Zollers throwing fastballs is absolutely correct. Yeah, it's coming out a little too hot at times for his receivers, whatever that's due to. We don't know, but like that'll come with time, right? It will look better. That's the thing. I'm confident that Matt Zollers will be a much better quarterback than he is today. It comes with time. And I think this game was a baby step forward, but just that. It's still a work in progress. And look, I wouldn't mind Mizzou's staff wanting to continue to see that progress play out and be careful with Beau Pribula, depending on how he looks. But again, like, you are still in this business to win football games.
And he's in the business to play them.
Right. And if he is healthy enough to play them and everyone feels good, he feels good after his activity, staff feels good about where he's at, can use him the same sort of way that they did beforehand, or at least to a pretty close degree, then I think everyone would owe it to themselves to give yourself the best chance to pull off an upset in Norman. And even then afterwards, like playing at Arkansas.
Yeah. Yeah. And finish the season strong. And like, if we're being honest, we have no idea what the future is going to hold. And if there is a coaching change, which would not be Missouri's doing, but would be the coach deciding to pursue some of the opportunities that may be out there, and the reports continue to suggest that that's very much a possibility and it's in play, we'll see what happens. And we're not going to find out really anything, I think, substantial until after the Arkansas game. But knowing that that's out there and the lay of the land, as we'll continue to discuss it and kind of what that is right now, there is no legitimate reason to be like, yeah, 100% sure Beau Pribula is going to be here next year, or Matt Zollers is going to be here next year. Like, we have no idea what's to come in the future. Yeah. This is not to say you throw either of those guys to the wolves with no regard for their future health because they're not going to be here. That's not what I'm suggesting. But I think you said it perfectly. You're in the business of winning football games. A guy like Beau Pribula is in the business of playing football games. If he is healthy, there is no, I kind of want to reserve, kind of want to keep him. I think you go guns blazing. You go out to the season guns blazing, and you hope, that everything's intact for next year, and it's a quarterback competition between Beau Pribula and Matt Zollers in August. But if that may not be the world we live in. So let's try to go beat Oklahoma in Norman for the first time in 60 years. That would be a perfectly valid thing to try and do, because as Eli Drinkwitz talked about last week on Tiger Talk, there is more to a college football season than the playoff. The playoff would have been cool, but there are still cool things yet to come if Missouri is able to produce them. And this one would be about as cool as any you could get, Andy. At OU, they get their big signature win. They're thinking playoff is easy street at this point. You can play a really meaningful spoiler role to that by going into their house, doing something that hasn't been done for the first time since 1966. I care about that. I hope Eli Drinkwitz still does, and I hope his team is able to kind of have that message relayed to them this week and see what they can't come up with as about a 7.5, 8.5 point underdog as of right now.
I mean, James did say that the line went down from 9.5 to 7.5. Probably thought, oh, Pribula.
I didn't look Sunday to see what it was. It was 9.5 a couple weeks ago, because this was a rivalry matchup and maybe some sports books had it. I don't know if somebody saw it at 9.5 yesterday. That would be notable to me. I wasn't able to identify that, but I know it opened whenever it opened at 9.5. Yeah. I don't know how much. I do think that news could potentially have pushed the spread toward Mizzou a little bit. I also don't know that for sure Pribula playing over Zollers means Missouri has a much better chance. But I think if you're calling it about a coin flip, I would lean the Pribula side, certainly, just with his experience and the knowledge of kind of his comfort, I think, in what they've been able to do this year. Yeah,
I think it'd be a little premature to have that type of shift mean like a couple points one way or the other. Like it still seems to me that you could attribute that to what Mizzou has done this year, and maybe people thinking numbers too high anyway, and then them saying, let's bet some Mizzou value here on the road, because they've kept things close.
In anything between 7 and 10 points, there's malleability there. The key numbers we talk with Rob Vino all the time. If you cross a 7 or you cross a 10, that's more meaningful. To kind of move around between 7.5 and 9.5 is more understandable.
And so we'll see what it looks like throughout the week, but call or text us with what you think at 573-875-KTGR. Aside from the quarterback play, based on how they played Saturday, did it make you feel better or worse about how it could look against OU?
I really had fun. I really enjoyed Saturday.
Good.
The 2 defensive touchdowns were really cool. It was a bizarre game. I tweeted about it.
Sure. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that Georgia game in 2013 where you didn't really, I don't know how many passing yards they had in that game. It was like a 41-26 win. And you're like, how did we come up with 41 points when you really didn't put up the yards? Obviously on the ground, ultimately they did put up the yards, though. That would be the distinction between this game and the one from 12 years ago. Ahmad Hardy was unbelievable. And it just feels like that's kind of what we wanted to see all along with the way that they ran the offense. But I also understand that, as we talked all week, Mississippi State, probably the worst run defense in conference that you were going to face all year. And so they executed a game plan that suited the matchup. And I can't really ask for much more than that. And there were a couple times where the play action, I think it was 3rd and 4. Was that when he threw the pick, Andy? I'm trying to recall this.
I want to say, that's right.
It was a moment they weren't quite to midfield. And I said, as good as they're running the ball, it was 2nd and 4, I want to say. And it was like, this would be a really good moment for play action, because they've been getting it run down their throats. And it was tailor-made for that, where you go, you don't get it. You'll be able to run it and probably get it on the next play. And I wasn't complaining about the play. Like, as much as I am run the ball guy, that was a moment where if you have any semblance of a forward pass in your arsenal, you can do it there. And so we were just a little bit overwhelmed still, and that was disappointing. Like, I am concerned if Zollers is starting the game against Oklahoma. I don't think there's a forward pass that they're going to be able to complete. Like, I know he got the win as the quarterback, and we can feel good about that. He's just not quite ready, and I'm not trying to bury the kid, but it got to a point where you knew that they were running it. Mississippi State knew that we were running it. Everybody in the stadium knew that we were running it, and it still worked.
And Ahmad Hardy still got 300 yards.
And Ahmad Hardy was fantastic. Yeah.
300.
He wanted the record. They
let him get it. Like
they
didn't
tried
let
to
him get the record, but they got him to 300. And they're like, all right, cool.
300.
That's cool.
That last run, he would have needed 20 more yards, and obviously you weren't going to keep running after that. You're going to take your knees after you got that first down. He broke, I think, 5 tackles on that run.
Yeah.
I thought he maybe breaks 5 more and gets the record. But it was a special night to see from Ahmad Hardy, and I know that there's a lot of conversation right now surrounding NIL and what it is, what it isn't, what it's going to be. We got to talk about this corporate sponsorship thing. That was a big topic apparently on the broadcast, and I think it's real. But if there's anything, if there's a business out there that wants to sponsor, Donovan Olubade and Ahmad Hardy, I would love to see that happen because those two guys, they're special. Olubade's catch, as Landon mentioned here on our YouTube, was just. It was just, and I got to finally break it out. I've been waiting since Zollers came into the Vanderbilt game to be able to tweet it. 5 + 1 = 6.
Oh, that's so good.
And finally, I got my opportunity with number 5, Matt Zollers, connecting on and it was great too. And I love that Zollers explained it to Chris Gervino after the game and the post game. And he just said, that wasn't really a play. That was just, we caught him offside and Olubade knew to go down there and I'm going to throw it up to him. Like that's the play in that situation. And they did it once, I believe, at Vanderbilt, which was impressive to me that he came in the game and had one of those, but did it on Saturday and it worked to perfection. Great catch, great throw.
So call or text us with what you liked about the Mississippi State win, 573-875-KTGR here on The Big Show. If you want to weigh in on, Beau Pribula's status, what it could be this week about the win against Mississippi State, the coaching carousel, some dominoes starting to fall, it would appear. So we'll get to a lot of that coming up later, but we'll get to the full weekend of college football and all the results that will play into the college football playoff talks with Bill Connelly of ESPN as he joins us next here on The Big Show, KTGR.
Miss the latest edition of The Big Show? Catch up on demand with a full show podcast on the KTGR app. Download it now, wherever you get your apps.
On game day, every needs and every tailgate needs Kingsford charcoal and a match. Whatever lot you're in, whatever you're grilling up for your fellow Tiger tailgaters, Kingsford charcoal is the official charcoal of Missouri football. Without it, you're just standing around in a parking lot. Since 1920, Kingsford has been proud to fire up your tailgates with friends and family. Kingsford.com. Another winter inside, looking at the snow in your yard that you can't write your name in because you didn't order your new deck from Crutch's Custom Exteriors in time. Don't look ahead to spring cleaning. You're ready for spring peeing and April showers with Freedom Stream powers off your new Crutch's deck. They can build your pee platform in the winter so it's ready for you to splash your autograph in any springtime snow that's left. CrutchesCustomExteriors.com. True beauty is on the outside.
This weekend, cancel your plans. Brunch is calling at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Start with biscuits, not just any biscuits, local made, buttermilk, sweet corn, even gluten-free, smothered in scratch-made gravy, pork sausage, or the chorizo. Don't forget the loaded biscuit, fluffy omelet, drenched in gravy, stacked so high it's basically brunch art. And then there's the Dive Cristo, smoked ham, house-made raspberry jam, gooey cheese wrapped in a flaky puff pastry. The Monte Cristo wishes it was this good. Brunch Saturday and Sunday only at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Don't just eat, experience.
Welcome to Macadoodles. Macadoodles does game day like nobody else. Whether you're tailgating or hosting a watch party, Macadoodles has you covered. With more than 3,200 wine labels, 1,500 spirits, and 600 craft and imported beers, and delivery right to your tailgate or doorstep, the days of making a beer run are over. Macadoodles delivers, providing unmatched selection at unbeatable prices. Drive through today or come inside and experience our world-class customer service. Who does game day like nobody else? Macadoodles does.
Hi, I'm Tristan Colon, Mizzou grad and 6-year NFL veteran.
I'm Charlie Stickland.
And I'm Sarah Stickland McDonald of the Stickland & Stickland Injury Law Firm.
In football, home field advantage can make all the difference.
The same is true when choosing your injury lawyer.
We're locals. We know the courts, we know the towns, we know the people.
Just as I protect my team on the field,
our family will protect your family.
When sorry just doesn't cut it.
Push back with Stickland & Stickland.
When it comes to tree care, knowledge matters. And Advanced Tree Solutions doesn't just cut, they care, educate, communicate, and protect the health of your trees. From pruning to removal to planting, their expertise goes beyond the surface. They're known for properly planting trees, removing burlap and wire cages from the root ball to ensure long-term growth and strength. With expert service and yearly discounts, your trees are in good hands. Call Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
It's that time of year again. Hit a deer, win a cow with FPP Body Shop. Listen, I'm not saying actively crash your vehicle into a deer, but if you do hit a deer, FPP will ease that stress with a $20 gift card to Fulton Worst House. And you'll be entered in to win the grand prize, a $500 gift card.
Man, I tell you what, winner last year had a cookout with every meat known to man. He all right?
Yeah, Billy. The winner will be popular again this year, too. With FPP, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Hit a deer, win a cow. FPPBodyShop.com.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
Mizzou with a victory over Mississippi State. Some questions over who it'll be a quarterback this weekend, potentially for Mizzou. Maybe some optimism that it could be Beau Pribula. We shall see as the week plays out. Here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app, Andy and Brenden here. You can call or text us at 573-875-KTGR to join in. But let's bring in Bill Connelly of ESPN. He joins us here and to talk some college football about Mizzou, the SEC, and the whole country over this last weekend. Bill, it was pretty amazing to see how Ahmad Hardy just gets to 300 yards, despite the fact that everyone inside the building, including Mississippi State, knew exactly what he was going to do, but he still did the thing, and it worked to 300 yards and 12 yards to carry. I just wonder how you kind of saw it play out on Saturday.
Yeah, and despite the fact that Missouri had 55 plays the entire game, just a strange game all the way around. I mean, obviously, you know, when you get pick sixes involved and everything else, it produces some odd stats. And when one team has almost twice as many plays as the other, it gets kind of weird too. But I mean, bottom line was, yeah, Missouri said we're not going to throw unless we have to. And it was kind of interesting because you look before the game, Mississippi State's run defense isn't good. And I thought that might mean they were, you know, going to commit extra numbers into the box and kind of make Matt Zollers beat them, but they just couldn't make Matt Zollers beat them. They couldn't stop plan A, and this is what you get.
Certainly so. And so with that performance, Mizzou certainly needed that to bounce back and see what they could do in that game. Now as they face Oklahoma, certainly that rushing attack is one that you're going to assume is not going to be as prolific as it was this past weekend against what Oklahoma can do. What does that mean now adjustment-wise for Mizzou, considering maybe a question mark as to who's starting out there at QB?
Yeah, I mean, that's Missouri is going to go up against what is, by my numbers, probably the best run defense in the country now. First in my rushing success rate allowed, I think fifth in overall yards per carry. Just dynamite defense, and that's how they beat Alabama. Their offense they have mastered the art of doing as little as possible on offense and just waiting for the other team to make mistakes and pouncing on short fields and long returns and everything else. And I think that alone makes me nervous thinking about a guy with a dislocated ankle coming back in less than a month. That feels like it could backfire pretty easily. But I think the bottom line with this game is if you don't turn the ball over, you're going to give yourself a shot. It's just they're really, really good at making you turn the ball over.
And you can kind of get fooled, I guess, by looking at the recent outings for Oklahoma's defense when it comes to what they've given up in terms of the pass defense. Mizzou's not going to be able to do anything close to what some of these programs are doing, regardless of who's at quarterback. Is that kind of how you – because the numbers are kind of gaudy, but they've also played some really tough passing offenses recently.
Yeah, I mean, they're still like yards per dropback. They're 15th nationally if you break it down to rates. And you're right. They've played last 3 weeks. They've played all, three top 20 offenses in a row. And they're still their overall season numbers are still great. So it's good defense. And they're really, really aggressive. Like I said, they live on forcing, not only just making tackles and forcing punts, but forcing big catastrophic mistakes. And that really does become part of this game. If you can just, survive, get some first downs, play the field position game, basically do what you tried to do against A&M before it fell apart. OU's offense isn't as good as A&M's, and you might get away with it for quite a bit longer. The defense is probably better, though.
Yeah, Bill Connelly of ESPN here on the Big Show KTGR. So it might be contingent upon Mizzou's defense to maybe keep them in the game for as long as possible here. How likely do you see that based on what John Mateer has been able to do recently for this offense for OU?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really weird. Like, because they're so good in the red zone specifically, and because they take advantage of their opportunities, they got kind of perceptions are that they've got a better offense than they actually have. And if you make them drive the length of the field, it just doesn't work very well. I do think, obviously they're running the ball a little bit better these last few weeks since they got the big, that was the 240 pounder involved. I'm blanking on his name, Robinson. So maybe that's a thing they can kind of ground out a couple first downs as well, and make sure that Missouri does face long fields also. So, maybe they can get something out of that, but they've done their damage by, with random big passes and really good red zone operation. And Missouri, I think at this point in the year, it's kind of different than what we were saying early in the year. I think maybe at this point in the year, they're better at defending the pass than the run. Not real sure. I think it's kind of gone back and forth, but regardless, if the defense plays really, really well, Missouri is going to have a shot as long as there aren't just a ton of easy points involved.
Looking at some of the marquee stuff from the past weekend, how do you react to Georgia, Texas, and the way that Georgia was just able to dominate in that game?
Last couple of weeks, Georgia's finally started looking the part from start to finish. That was all I was asking for. The whole first 2 months of the season were just really, really frustrating watching them just basically come in looking like they hadn't game planned and just wait until they absolutely have to start playing well and then figure things out. It's great. It's great now that you can do that. And obviously their playoff odds are very, very high right now. But if any team outside of Ohio State appears to be shifting into fifth gear at the moment, it sure seems like it's Georgia with what we've seen the last couple of weeks. And obviously, challenges aren't over. Georgia Tech's really interesting in its own right, and almost took them down last year with the worst team. So we'll see how they handle that. But it sure seems like if you had to ask me who had the second best chance of winning the national title this moment, I would say Georgia.
That would seem about right. Bill Connelly of ESPN here on the Big Show KTGR and the KTGR app. We almost saw a big upset this weekend in College Station. Probably should have, but South Carolina decided to not play in the second half, and A&M stormed back in that game. Just how do you react to the swings of that, what it told us about either team, but in particular Texas A&M, because they saw it right their undefeated season on the ropes, but give credit to them. They fought back and got back to it.
Yeah, South Carolina, this has been kind of their deal is, stink in the first 2 months of the season and then save yourself with late upset. So I kind of thought it was real, especially, but it just turned out it was Marcel Reed. Like as soon as he started hitting the right guys in the hands and those guys caught the ball, that was, when he threw a good pass in the first half, it was dropped and then he would airmail a couple. Once he settled down, game was over. I do think that's been A&M's thing. Like it's for as good as they looked for a large portion of the Missouri game, it is kind of hard to build trust because Marcel Reed will go through these periods, not usually that long, but at least of 2 or 3 drives when just things aren't working. And then they'll hit the gas for a little bit and make up for it. Obviously they've been good enough to go unbeaten. And I'd say they're certainly, worthy of that, but it's hard to trust the offense and the defense certainly started pushing guys around in the second half as well.
Is it fair to say, Bill, that Notre Dame is going to deserve this playoff bid because this was kind of their test and they looked really good at Pitt?
They're up to 5th in my SP Plus rankings. I mean, they like that is, I mean, we can debate whether they deserve as much credit as they have for the schedule and the wins and all that. They don't have anything better than USC really. And I get all that. But if you just, if we're asking who's playing the best ball right now, it's second straight year. As soon as they have to shift into gear, they do so. And by November, they're looking really, really good. And they're more explosive this year than last year. I don't know if they're quite as trustworthy in the trenches as they were last season, but they can put up a lot more points. They can actually make big plays. It won't be like they made the national title game last year with Riley Leonard just running into the back of his offensive guards over and over and over and throwing 1-yard passes. They don't have to settle for that this year. They can actually just wing the ball downfield.
Bill Connelly of ESPN here on the Big Show KTGR and the KTGR app. Bill, how do you view the potential chaos we could see with Navy and how they could wiggle themselves into this CFP conversation, if at all?
Yeah, I'm still curious about the AAC. I do think that the winner of that conference has the best chance at the playoff. But if James Madison wins out, that does kind of probably prevent a Navy type of story. I think that's kind of the main thing. And it sure looks like, I mean, James, every time I started trusting JMU last year, they would lose a game out of nowhere. So we'll see. But they've been really, really solid this year. They probably should have been ranked last week. They only lost to Louisville, and that was a game where the yardage margin was like dead even, and it was tied into the fourth quarter till a fumble. So I do think they're a really good team, better than Navy probably. And I do think that might prevent something truly chaotic. But if we're going for chaotic scenarios, East Carolina to the playoff is what I'm rooting for. That's my main. They have 3 losses, so I don't know. Like, JMU's going to have to completely fall apart. But you win the American. They look really, really fun right now. I could watch. I'd love to see them throw haymakers.
How likely, though? I mean, is that a scenario that leaves the ACC out? Because, I mean, that kind of took a little bit of a hit again this week with Louisville's loss.
Yeah, I think I think Duke was the path to that. If they could win out with 4 losses, then we would have been in good shape. I think with the loss to Virginia, that probably doesn't happen now. So I think we took off one of the super duper chaos scenarios, but we still have plenty to go in the ACC, and we'll see. Like, I mean, if JMU really does win out and win every game by 30, 40 points or whatever, and the ACC just continues to bludgeon itself and has a very unimpressive looking, even 10-3 champion, I'm curious how that goes. I'm not completely convinced the ACC champ gets it then either.
Do you think, Bill, after we get the 9-game SEC schedule, that weekends like this one in the SEC can go away, or will the team still try to schedule their blood donors in late November to get a break? Because there's just not a lot interesting about the conference schedule other than Mizzou, Oklahoma this weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, I talk myself. I like it because then I can watch everything else. I've been talking about SEC teams for a while now. I can shift gears and watch all these other games. But yeah, it just does obviously Big Ten fans always bring this up and act like it gives the SEC an advantage in the playoff, which I'm never ever going to believe. But as just as a fan, I would hate it. It just continues. It just wrecks the flow of the season and begs you not to come and basically save up for next week. So I don't mind the FCS games at all, but give them to me the Thursday of week 1, as has been Missouri's custom, and I'm A-okay with them then.
They've done a good job with that. So we'll see if other schools follow suit. This weekend, interesting one in the Big Ten between USC and Oregon. I mean, obviously Oregon still needing to maybe fight towards the end to secure their spot. Maybe a loss makes it a little more iffy. How do you kind of view their situation? And I mean, USC does still only have a couple of losses. Is there an outside shot for them too?
Yeah, I mean, USC is a really, really solid team. I think, SP Plus has a good read on them. It basically locked them into about 13th to 15th, and that's where they've been since like week 2, basically. So they are about that good, and basically that means if you're Oregon, if you play your A game or B plus game, you're better than them and you'll win. But if you don't, you are in trouble. And Oregon really is, I mentioned this a lot last week in various places, but the way we view strength of schedule as a choice kind of drives me crazy, because Oregon scheduled Oklahoma State a decade ago when OSU was awesome. They had Penn State there as the marquee game of September. Wasn't their fault. Penn State immediately fell apart afterwards. So they did their part. They won the games. They've only lost to the number 2 team in the country, and they really do seem like they're borderline because of all these other things that happened that made their schedule weaker. So I would like to think they're still fine if they lose, but I definitely wouldn't recommend losing both of these last 2 games. You need to beat one of 2 good teams here in USC and then at Washington, and this one's at home. So yeah, just take care of business now.
Yeah, that would definitely be the best course of action for them. The key one in the ACC between now Pitt and Georgia Tech. I mean, Pitt obviously reeling from playing, as we talked about, but one of the best teams in the country, at least the way it looks right now. And then Georgia Tech, who really had to survive Boston College this weekend. It's a key swing game here, but both teams obviously can't feel good about the way they played last weekend.
Yeah, Tech's defense hasn't been very good all year. In the last 2 games, it's been dreadful. 48 points to NC State, 34 to Boston College. Obviously, this says very bad things about the Georgia game here in 2 weeks, but that's their issue. Their offense is awesome. Haynes King is just about my favorite quarterback in the country. He's kind of out Diego Pavia this year in the way that he'll be like, all right, well, if it takes 30 carries, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to throw a couple touchdown passes and run for 150 yards, and we're going to do it. Obviously they got it done, but that defense has fallen apart really, really fast, and that at least opens the door for Pitt. Pitt's got obviously didn't really show a very good offense last week, but they're not going to face nearly as much resistance this week, and maybe they can get going again.
Bill Connelly of ESPN here on the Big Show, KTGR. And then finally, BYU Cincinnati feels like it could be a play-in chance for essentially the Big 12 or championship, and then you still get your shot at the CFP for that. But just how do you read that and how both teams head into this one?
Yeah, since it's another team, it seems like there are a lot of teams that just kind of stopped playing defense recently. And, obviously getting beat up by Utah a couple of weeks ago was not a big surprise, but then like Arizona's solid, but that's obviously a game you have to win. So I don't have a lot of faith here. I think BYU and Utah both have really kind of, it's easy to trust them at this point with the way they play in the trenches, especially. So, and that is kind of an interesting situation. It does feel like there might be a spot if Tech wins the Big 12. There still might be a spot for either BYU or Utah in there. And Utah is just kind of almost, I think, probably hoping BYU wins because they might actually just sneak in the door without even having to play in the Big 12 title game. So, just let them handle Tech and see what happens from there. But yeah, I think the Big 12 still has a good shot, and obviously the ACC has no shot, but that should lead to one for the Big 12, I think.
It'll be very interesting how it plays out in that conference. Great to catch up with Bill Connelly of ESPN here on the Big Show. Follow him on Twitter at ESPN_Bill C, and great content over at ESPN.com to catch towards the tail end of this regular season of college football. Should be a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on, Bill, and on the Big Show. We'll talk again soon.
Sounds good.
Big Show is on at 442, KTGR and the KTGR app. I would absolutely be rooting for BYU all of a sudden. It might feel weird for Utah fans to do that, but that's absolutely what I'd be doing.
Yeah, you have to pretty much prioritize your team's chances to, maximize its playoff opportunities, even if it means a rival needs to get a win. I think if Mizzou fans were in that situation, I think you'd be rooting for Kansas to do the same thing. Honestly, if it were that simple as doing the math and going, oh, this could actually help our path to really still staying in the mix for a national championship and improve those chances, well, you just have to suck it up and do it.
Yeah, if only Kansas were any good, then,
Yeah, they would not be very helpful in that regard.
They've not been this year, that's for sure. Keep dragging down that strength of schedule. Jeez.
They do kind of stink again, don't they?
Anyway, Big Show is on 443, KTGR and the KTGR app. All right, onto the bus next. I mean, certainly with the way South Carolina responded in the second half of their game, but it seemed there was a bit of a foreshadowing to that at the end of the first quarter. That's next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Ahmad Hardy named the SEC co-offensive player of the week after his 300-yard rushing performance on Saturday against Mississippi State. He had 3 touchdowns in Mizzou's 49-27 victory over the Bulldogs. Also, Mizzou corner Toriano Pride Jr. was named co-SEC Defensive Player of the Week. He had a pick 6 in the game as well as a long fumble recovery return on a botched field goal by Mississippi State. As the Tigers with that win are 7-3 overall, 3-3 in the SEC, and they'll take on number 8 Oklahoma this Saturday at 11 a.m. Yuengling Tiger Game Day show begins at 8 a.m. right here on KTGR. And according to Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports, his sources tell him that there's early optimism that Missouri quarterback Beau Pribula may be able to return to action and start when Mizzou faces Oklahoma on Saturday, just 3 weeks after suffering a nasty ankle injury versus Vanderbilt. First SEC availability report comes out Wednesday for Mizzou. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Steve's Pest Control. The fall invasion is here. Call Steve and the pros at Steve's Pest Control today or visit stevespestcontrol.com.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. It'll be a breezy evening with mostly cloudy skies and an isolated shower or storm with lows around 50 degrees. Expect more sunshine tomorrow. We're going to see a high near 70 degrees. Then by Wednesday, clouds return behind a cold front. It'll be chillier with temperatures in the upper 50s to around 60. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Did you miss the Mizzou play of the week?
2nd and 6 from the 28. Offset to the right is Hardy. Ball on the left hash. Hardy bounces it to the right side. Second level to the 40. Outside the right hash to midfield. To the 40 of Mississippi State. Foot race to the 20. To the 10. Angling back inside to the house. Touchdown Ahmad Hardy on an explosive run of 72.
The Mizzou Play of the Week is powered by Yingling. Your home for Mizzou football is KTGR.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
Hey, this is Jimmy with Pro Designs, and maybe you've heard, we're the vehicle wrap specialist, but branding your business doesn't stop there. At Pro Designs, we can wrap your walls, windows, even floors.
Go to ProDesigns.com.
Come see them at their locations in Eldon or Columbia off Rangeline Street and I-70.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
Hey y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. November is the month for giving thanks. But here's something we're not thankful for. Ground turkey. But seriously, have y'all ever tried to make a burger out of that meat? No matter what you do, it is dry. You know what you will be thankful for? Our famous Billiards burger. No turkey required.
Look at hometown for burgers and beer. Billiards, home Broadway.
No turkey burgers were made in the making of this commercial.
You know your former golf bag? It's not just holding up the weed whacker on your garage wall. It's also holding cash. Same goes for that rowing machine you swore you'd use once. At Play It Again Sports, turn your gently used gear into money in your pocket. Bring in your old golf equipment, fitness gear, softball bats, baseball cleats, and more. Cash out and keep it, or trade up to something better. Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
I'm Michael Agnew with API Project Fitness. At API, we're dedicated to helping you reach your fitness goals with workouts that are motivating, challenging, and effective. Our group classes are high energy and designed to maximize your time with efficient movements and smooth flow. There are real results here to find, whether you're just starting out or ready to push it to the next level. API is where hard work meets progress. Everyone needs a fitness routine. Let us be yours. Sign up today for a free trial at apiprojectfitness.com.
The Big O Tires Black Friday sale is on. It's the biggest sale of the year. Now through December 7th, buy 3 tires and get the 4th free on select sets. That's right, buy 3 tires and get the 4th free. And the savings don't stop there. Get up to $120 off select sets of Michelin tires. Get rolling with huge savings before they're gone. Only at your locally owned and operated Big O Tires, the team you trust.
We got you covered at Big O. What's up, Missouri? Tony Gonzalez here. I've spent a lot of Sundays right here playing in front of the best fans in football. And now it's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. It's America's top-rated sportsbook app. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day, December 1st.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KTGR. New Missouri customers, sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code KTGR in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brenden on The Big Show on KTGR.
So, man, I don't know. I went through a bunch of different feelings as to how I wanted that game to finish between A&M and South Carolina, because I didn't particularly like either team. So was I okay with South Carolina doing this? Was I okay with A&M potentially losing it? I don't know. But after the first quarter, my answer kind of came to me, because Shane Beamer, during the in-game interview after the quarter break, which they've started doing on ESPN, and you can have your takes on that. I don't like him generally, but this one gave us something pretty noteworthy. Shane Beamer was talking about, look, we're not surprised we're up 17-3 after one quarter. We beat them by 24 points last year. Like, sure, they're a good team, but we're a good team. Buddy, you want to save that for after it's 0-0 in the fourth quarter, man. Like, that can't be talking like that in the middle of the game. And now all of a sudden you're sitting back in the other Columbia. with a loss that you should not have because you're up 27 at half. Can't happen.
Yeah, that was bad. And the look of him kind of like leaving the field triumphantly at halftime was bad. They didn't score a point in the second half, and they gave up 4 touchdowns. That was hilarious. It was funny. I was mad because I'm like, man, Texas A&M couldn't play like this against us. Like, why'd they have to play good against Mizzou and then go play that half against South Carolina? But, nature healed itself. And I do not know how Shane Beamer still has a job, by the way, after that. Like, I don't understand it, but whatever. More power to him.
Maybe they were hoping that he would just leave to take the Virginia Tech job, which that's not happening. So that is a questionable one. Maybe they'll wait until if he loses Clemson, then you got to think that lose to a rival at the end of the season, no bowl game. Like that could be the time when they do it, but it's been a bad year for him. That's for sure. Like they were top 15 team in the preseason, and now they're not going to a bowl as long as they don't get invited as a 5-7 team.
Well, and he said, I would accept it at 5-7. It's South Carolina's program is down bad right now. Like we might be having a coaching search in a couple months, but they're down significant.
That's really tough.
Yeah.
Tough
in the other
stuff.
Columbia.
And under the bus to Jamar Chase just came out. NFL suspending him a game for spitting on Jalen Ramsey. And I believe it was Ramsey, the one who got either a flag or was ejected himself for how he responded to it. Yeah. And so the refs appeared to miss the fact that Chase spit on him beforehand, but NFL usually doesn't miss that stuff. League office can go back and look, and sure enough, they saw that Chase did that, and he's suspended for a game.
And he did nothing for my fantasy team this week, and now I won't have him next week. I'm not really high on that right now, but it's all good.
Oh, okay.
Like we're gonna make the playoffs. It's fine.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, hopefully in at least one of your 20 leagues, you make the playoffs.
I'm in like 13 or 14. Okay. Calm down.
That's a lot. Still, oh boy. But different from the Jalen Carter situation where that happened before a snap even happened. And so he misses the
first play of the season.
Yeah, first.
How far we've come. We're still spitting on people these many months later.
Well, Ahmad Hardy's the SEC co-offensive player of the week. Duh. 300 yards.
Who was the co?
I'll go and look, but it must have been someone who
I'm not
actually
dogging
made a ranked
him.
team.
I'm just curious.
Something like that.
I always want to highlight more than one person, and so I get it when they do the co. They did it for the co on defense as well.
Ironically enough, Kejuan Lacey was the other one.
No way.
224 yards and 3 touchdowns on 31 carries.
Oh my goodness.
Beat Florida this weekend. Yeah.
Like he left first, and then we were like, let's go get this guy. I think Hardy's better because he's our guy, but you all know how I felt about Kejuan Lacey last year. Like it was painful when we lost him before I learned who was replacing him. But that is pretty funny. I mean, that's pretty good. The two
can't make it up. It's right there
with Mizzou ties.
There you go. And Toriano Pride Jr. also SEC co-defensive player of the week. Ironically enough, he's sharing it with another CB for Oklahoma, Eli Bowen, who also had a pick 6. So I mean, hard to parse that out. But
that fumble recovery on the botch snap was
impressive, man.
That was one of the best ball don't lie moments I've ever seen, because I know it doesn't make a lot of sense to complain about the refs in a game you won by 20, but the refs were so bad again in a Mizzou game on Saturday.
We forgot to throw under the bus the grounding. The grounding. That was the most
or the lack
part.
of a grounding.
Right. Both.
I've never seen anything like it in my life. I still cannot believe that they didn't call intentional. Well, the receiver ran the wrong route.
I've never heard that explanation before.
That's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
It's not.
And so we take this time as part of the service thing in sports to explain to you just how pitiful SEC refs continue to be. After they called 2 groundings on Mizzou, which like both of them I saw in the moment, and I go, they're probably going to get us on that. Fair is fair.
Yeah.
I saw them both and thought, I'm not happy about it. but they might get us. But I've never been so baffled. Actually, that's not true. At the Vanderbilt game, I had a real good view of the ball they threw into the third row and didn't say that was uncatchable. SEC refs, not the sweetest, but we got to deal with them anyway.
We spent about half the sweetest thing talking about them. So
they are so bad.
It was not great this weekend. They were not very popular at Faurot Field. And, we'll see what now that Mizzou has to go on the road, we'll see what the rest of that holds.
I'm sure I already can tell you what's going to hold, but here we are.
Either way, we'll be ready to talk, complain, react to the games, as always, here on The Big Show. Call or text us at 573-875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on Mizzou, your thoughts on the win, your thoughts on potentially Beau Pribula returning. There's optimism apparently for that this week. We shall see, but we do have to get to the very tough loss that the Kansas City Chiefs suffered in Denver last night. Yeah. Brings a big hit to the AFC West title chances, no doubt. 3.5 games back, but are they going to make the playoffs?
Oh, Andy,
what
I can't wait to see how you're going to wiggle your way out of this one.
Will they have, would you give them, what % chance would you give the Chiefs right now of making the playoffs? We'll get to that next.
Let's talk numbers, because if you're a fan of stats, you'll want to hear this. Flight by Yuengling has just 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's light beer that actually brings some game day flavor. Whether you're at the tailgate or watching from the couch, Flight delivers that crisp, refreshing taste without the extra baggage. Brewed by the oldest brewery in America, so you know it's legit. Flight by Yuengling, the next generation of light beer. DG Yuengling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Well, the holidays are going to be here before you know it, and so will the family visits, the gatherings, and all the stress that comes with them. If your to-do list around the house still hasn't been touched, call Bax Homeworks. Their handyman service can take care of those little fixes, updates, and projects you've been putting off. Don't worry, you're not the only one. But that way, you can focus on what really matters. Relieve the stress now. Visit BaxHomeworks.com or find them on Facebook. Bax Homeworks. Getting your to-do list done.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, visit fvgradio.com.
If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise.
See website for complete details.
We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird.
An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it?
Call now, 800-417-6411. 800-417-6411. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-417-6411 and give us your answer.
The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
This is Sports Center.
I'm Ed Benkin. We start with college football news. Sources have told ESPN Virginia Tech is finalizing a deal to make James Franklin their new head coach. The deal is expected to be completed in the near future. In the NBA, ESPN Shams Charania is reporting Spurs Victor Wembanyama will be sidelined over the next few weeks with a calf injury. In the NFL, Bengals receiver Jamar Chase has been suspended for 1 game after spitting on Steelers defensive back Jalen Ramsey. ESPN's Ryan Clark said something had to be done.
I mean, first of all, it's absolutely disgusting. To spit on another man is the lowest form of human disrespect, and the league needs to make an example.
The Bengals host the Patriots on Sunday. In Atlanta, the Falcons may be without quarterback Michael Penix Jr. for the rest of the year, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, as he deals with a knee injury. Drake London is also week to week with a knee injury. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, there's concern Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers may have suffered a break in his left wrist yesterday. The Jets are making a quarterback change. The team has benched Justin Fields in favor of Tyrod Taylor. The Commanders are cut kicker Matt Gay. 49ers kicker Eddie Pinheiro has a hamstring injury. He's being listed as
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. We make the claims process easy so you can get back on the road in no time. It's why over 43 million drivers trust Progressive. See for yourself at progressive.com.
From Faro.
15 to the 10, to the house.
Bush.
Back to the wall, and it's got her.
And Arrowhead.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brenden on KTGR.
Jets know they have Brady Cook, right? They know that? Okay, I'm just making sure. Big Show's on KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy and Brenden here as we talk some NFL, namely the Kansas City Chiefs, and how at 5-5, outside the playoff picture, there's some real danger of them missing the playoff. It does get real now. So how much of a chance today would you give them of making the postseason after a loss to Denver this past weekend? Call or text us with that, 573-875-KTGR. We'll also discuss the coaching carousel, some interesting info on Lane Kiffin, and maybe some visits that he or his family took this weekend to other places, and a big domino falling. James Franklin has a landing spot. So we'll talk about that at 5:25. Give us your thoughts on all that at 875-5847. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Big win for Mizzou football over the weekend. They got the better of Mississippi State, 49-27, by the benefit of a couple of defensive touchdowns, as well as, they ran the damn ball. Ahmad Hardy, 300 yards. Was pretty close to the school record of 319, but it was a sportsman-like thing to do to take a knee at the end of the game. Still, unbelievable day for Hardy. He was named co-offensive player of the week in the Southeastern Conference. Toriano Pride was co-SEC defensive player of the week, had a pick 6. Also had a big, long return on a botched snap that was on a field goal attempt for Mississippi State. Just a really, really sound game, despite what the refs tried to do to it. I had a lot of fun at Faroe Field on Saturday. Big win. They all got to get their rocks.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
Now Oklahoma looms. A road trip to Norman after Oklahoma knocked off Alabama on Saturday to keep their college football playoff hopes not only alive, but they're very intact. They win their last 2 regular season games, and the Sooners will be in. Be a shame if the Tigers could roll into Norman for the first time since 1966 and change all that. But it's possible. And when they do, maybe it's Beau Pribula starting. According to Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports, it's a possibility that he will be ready. So we'll be keeping an eye on that SEC availability report Wednesday night and the rest of the week, no doubt.
Number 3.
Mizzou men's hoops back in action tonight with a 7 p.m. tip at Mizzou Arena taking on Prairie View A&M. And I'm intrigued to see this matchup for one reason. We know that over the years, the Dennis Gates teams at Mizzou always prefer to get out and run, play that transition game as much as possible. Well, Prairie View is a bottom-tier team on offense, defense, and in rebounding, but they do play fast, 39th in adjusted tempo in college basketball, according to Ken Palm. Yeah, I think the Tigers should enjoy that. They'll score 100 tonight if they can execute.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Yeah, the Chiefs are in trouble. They lose at Denver, and the Broncos were already leading the division. Kansas City now down to 5-5 on the season after the 22-19 loss. The Will Lutz field goal secured the win, and 3.5 games back in the division. You probably should start thinking about the wild card being an option, and that is far from a guarantee as well. Are the Chiefs about to miss the playoffs in the Mahomes era? We'll talk about that topic coming up.
Number 5.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap!
I'm serious, man. After his end of the first quarter interview and his hyping up the crowd at halftime, how does Shane Beamer still have a job after blowing that big lead at Texas A&M? I'll never understand.
That's The Big Show's top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
875 KTGR. If you want to call or text us. It's almost like one of those games that you see in like a movie series or a TV series where almost to a T, like Friday Night Lights after the first season, I'm giving a spoiler here, but like one team's up 26-0, and then the other team all of a sudden four touchdowns, 4 stops. Like, wow, blink of an eye. Like that's the game it was. It should not have been that. It only happens in fantasy land. That's it.
Yeah, you would look at Hollywood there, and you'd look at that Friday Night Lights thing and say, wow, that's not really very realistic representation of what can happen in football. And then Shane Beamer comes along and proves us wrong. It allows for that kind of thing. Like, I would love to have seen and heard what was the halftime locker room atmosphere like, because it seems as though he thought they had already won the football game. And then the second half was a complete inverse of what had happened in the first half. Like, when you're getting defensive touchdowns and you're getting some kind of fortune breaking your direction, it might be an indicator that you're not like, yeah, you're outplaying them, but you're not outplaying them by enough when they're the number 3 team in the country to think that you can just kind of rest on it in the second half. There's always time to come back in a game like that. And the celebrating started a little bit too early for South Carolina.
Well, that's the type of team they've been. They live on big plays that go for touchdowns. They live off of turnovers. And a lot of the time that's not sustainable. It can help you for a good portion of the game, and you can build up enough of a lead to withstand that, but clearly it was not enough for South Carolina. So that's the mark of a poor coach team. And
it was funny. It was maybe not the funniest thing that happened in the SEC or is happening over the weekend. It's the Lane Kiffin stuff for sure. But that was pretty funny.
No, look, I was ready to see A&M lose all of a sudden. Like, I was kind of thinking, it'd be cool to see South Carolina miss a bowl. But then once you saw it happen, like, okay, A&M gets a loss here, then their strength of schedule maybe doesn't prop them up as much, and maybe they lose to Texas and they're out potentially after that. Could have happened.
I was rooting for, I don't know what I was rooting for. I was consuming the game, wanted it to be interesting at the end, but once they took the lead, I was like, oh, it's over. And then they fumbled on the goal line, basically, and I was like, okay, if South Carolina can march down and win it with a field goal, that would be extremely funny. So I was kind of like back and forth on what I was hoping would happen as the game unfolded. But yeah, they just had no offense, did the Gamecocks in the second half. Once it went for good.
All right, well, we'll see what this weekend in the SEC has in store. It's not necessarily a weekend full of top 25 matchups, but maybe we see an upset here or there before the final weekend of the regular season. Give us your thoughts on it. 573-875-KTGR. Okay. Chiefs Kingdom is maybe having to brace itself potentially for not making the postseason under Patrick Mahomes. You definitely have to brace for them not winning the division. Like, that's gone. Like, I think you put that out of your mind right now. 3.5 games back. You've already lost 1 game to Denver. Even if you win the return trip to Kansas City, Denver, they don't have the division on lock yet because the Chargers are still technically there, but the big bad wolf is out of the picture for that. And so you see the light. It's going to be Denver winning the division. So now, do the Chiefs make the playoffs? Do they get in as a wild card team? Give us your percent chance of how likely you think it is right now, today, at 573-875-KTGR, or a comment on our YouTube channel or on Facebook. I already know that I will be more optimistic than Brenden, but you tell me, Brenden, why you are out essentially on the Chiefs.
Where are you getting this? I never said I was out on the Chiefs. I told you this was a really important game, though, and you were like, Chiefs are going to be fine. The Broncos are no good. And they lost that game.
I kind of think that, but yeah. Okay.
But how in the face of 9-2 versus 5-5 are we still going to act like the Chiefs are just business as usual? I mean, this is a concern.
Okay. Not necessarily propped
you gave
up
them credit for.
Relatively. Sure, I'm not basing this off of relativity based on between the Broncos and the Chiefs. Certainly the Broncos look better this year. I just don't like the way that they win these games. And I don't think that's sustainable.
When the Chiefs did it for a whole year, though, it was.
But they didn't do it the way the Broncos have done it. They haven't. It's not the same way. They are not scoring touchdowns. And by the way, Chiefs scored more touchdowns in this game than the Broncos did. So I'm not actually buying the fact that it looks the same way that the Chiefs did, because the Chiefs did it in a whole lot of different ways than the Broncos are doing it this time around. Their offense does not necessarily look all that great at times, and it's not going to look that way for a lot of the season without J.K. Dobbins. Now that he's out for the year, like, they got to figure that out. Other defenses will look at what they're doing right now and be ready to have answers for it at some point. Like, they'll probably finish with 12 wins, 12, 13, something like that. I think the schedule allows for it for them, but they're not going to look like the team that's won 8 straight games during this second half of the season. And so, like, okay, you have taken a step forward. You're going to win this division, but there is more proving ground to be had. Now, when it comes to the Chiefs, who's going to block them out? Who will do it, Brenden? Tell me the team that will do it.
I understand why you very quickly want to shift the conversation to the Chiefs, because
we do talk about the Chiefs here
with everything else you're saying.
Well, what do you mean? I'm not wrong about that.
I'm just looking back at last year. When the Chiefs, again, you're saying, well, the Chiefs, the Broncos are doing it without scoring. They're doing it in a different way. Last year, the Chiefs beat the Falcons 22-17, beat the Chargers 17-10.
More
beat
touchdowns
the Broncos 16-14
than their opponent in a lot of those games.
16-14, beat the Broncos. 19-17, beat the Chargers. 19-17, beat the Raiders on a last-second field goal botch. The Chiefs last year and the Broncos this year, there's no way that you could say it was good enough for the Chiefs last year, but it's no good when the Broncos are doing it this year. It's identical to some of the ways that the Chiefs were just somehow winning these ugly games.
Do the Broncos have a history of putting together these types of seasons, though? No,
they have a new regime that is a young quarterback, a head coach that's only been there for a couple of years. Sean Payton is not unproven as a head coach. Like, it's fine if you don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl either. But I have to let you live in this for a little bit, because the Broncos' hatred has been substantial, and they're 9-2. They're more than likely going to win the division. The Chargers may be able to do it, but I think the Broncos are definitely.
I'm not trying to take away credit from them doing that.
Yeah, you are.
But
no, you are.
I'm saying that they don't hold up as one of the best teams in the AFC. That's all. But go ahead.
Let's talk about the Chiefs. I thought I'd give you a chance to own it today. You didn't want to do it. Who's knocking out the Chiefs? What's the current status here in this division? Pull up the standings. Or excuse me, in this conference. The
Chiefs right now are out by a game.
They're out. The Bills are going to make the playoffs. Like, we all agree with that. I don't know who's going to win the division, Patriots or Bills, but the Bills at 7-3.
Yeah.
Like, they're definitely going to be in. The Chargers are 7-4. They're going to be in, and I think they'll probably be in ahead of the Chiefs, but you still get to play the Chargers again. You could surpass the Chargers, but I'm thinking we're all agreeing that the Chargers are going to make the playoffs relative to some of these other teams in the AFC. So you're really talking about the Jaguars, who got a win over the Chargers, which maybe helps the Chiefs be able to pass them. Jags are 6-4, game ahead, and they do have the tiebreaker over Kansas City. The Ravens are now up to 5-5, winners of 4 straight, and the Chiefs hold the tiebreaker, maybe notably over Baltimore in that one. But you have kind of been on record saying the Ravens are going to win the AFC North, and I tend to agree with that. But the Steelers also got a nice win this weekend, and they are 6-4. So you've got 2 teams that the Chiefs are going to have to leap. I won't even mention the Texans. I would agree with your assessment that they're not going to be players here. Although the Chiefs do still play the Texans. Is that accurate?
They do.
And so there would be again, I don't think the Chiefs are going to lose to the Texans. I wouldn't predict it. But if they somehow lose 16-13, the way the Texans seem to play all their games these days, that would be pretty devastating in a tiebreaker scenario. So let's talk about, though, the Jaguars and the Steelers, I would argue, are the top 2 teams that you would have to kind of keep an eye on.
Potentially. You could say the Chargers, too, actually, with this. Chargers schedule does toughen up a little bit more. So here's how I view it.
The Chargers in, but you've got to beat 2 of the 3 to be able to.
Sure. So with the Chargers, they're on bye this week. Their schedule, I see them going 3-3 the rest of the way.
So they get to 10-7.
So they get to 10-7. I kind of see that as well with the Jaguars. That's a little harder to predict. I see 3 surefire wins, 3 surefire losses, and a toss-up for the Jaguars going forward. So 10 or 11 wins, whatever it might be.
They play the Titans. That'll be a win. They play the Colts twice.
Titans twice and Colts twice. So let's say 2-2 in that stretch.
But they get to play the Jets, and they go to Denver to play the Broncos. So you'll probably be rooting for Denver in that one if it ends up being like a wild card or bust scenario for the Chiefs
right
by the time you get to December 21st. So, yeah, I mean, there's some easy games on there. The Titans could beat the Jaguars once. Like, I'm not saying they couldn't, but generally I'm going to say they'll beat the Titans twice, beat the Jets. So, like, they're kind of rolling out of bed at 3 wins. Getting one more gets them to 10. Yeah, I think the Jags will go 10-7 if I had to, like, pick a number right now.
And so there's that right there. Let's take a look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh at the moment is, 6-4? And I see...
Yes.
Oh, I could see 4 losses on this. You still get Baltimore twice. You're at the Bears this weekend, which is not guaranteed. Bears have been a feisty team.
This is significant for both teams because the Bears are, I believe, 7-3. So they're very much trying to solidify playoff, and it can happen for them if they keep it going.
Pittsburgh also has the Bills and the Lions left on their schedule. Like, the problem with Pittsburgh is that they did not do enough damage on the earlier half of their schedule, which was the easier half. And now I think they're going to get some comeuppance from that. I can't see them finishing with 10 wins.
I expect the Steelers to, I almost feel generous saying they're going to finish 3-4 the rest of the way. That would give them wins over essentially the Bears, Dolphins, and Browns, while losing twice to the Ravens, to the Bills, and at the Lions. And so that would be the scenario that you're looking for if you're Chiefs, where they would be going 9-8, and you would be able to sneak in above them if you can get to 10.
Right. So then
I think that's realistic.
So
but
the target number,
I think, go your way.
Right. But I think it's fair to put a target number of wins for the Chiefs going the rest of the way at 11 to get to 11 wins.
Oh, 11 you're in. I mean, there's not even going to be
that would mean
any concern
that you'd probably jump the Jags. You make sure that you have to have a game you have to be better than them by a game because they have the tie break. Potentially could be the case against the Chargers. That might come more down to divisional record, which who knows how that's going to play out with the Chargers' other games. I don't know what the tiebreak would be against Pittsburgh, but I imagine that at some point it would come down to conference record, and the Chiefs do not have that at the moment over Pittsburgh. So you do have to be a game better, I think, than most, if not all of those teams. But 11 wins, I think, is what you're targeting for the Chiefs to get into the postseason. Now, look, I think it's doable. I think it is for this team. You can say that they have not looked good in their last couple of games, and it's concerning it's concerning with the Chiefs coming off the bye week under Andy Reid. Never does that, right? That's not good either. But here's the thing: like, this Colts game's a big one. Colts are coming off their bye. Do they look like the same team that they have through the first half of the season on the road in Kansas City? I think that's a bit of a question mark. You win that game, and then you see the path lining up. I think you beat both the Cowboys and the Texans. I think you beat the Chargers at home. Then you get the Titans. Doesn't matter where you play them, you're going to beat them. And then the Broncos game on Christmas could be pretty key for that. Be interested to see what the situation the Broncos are in.
And I'll take the Chiefs. The Chiefs, the Broncos will probably be playing for an opportunity at the number 1 seed still. I doubt they're going to be so far ahead of everybody that it's over by then, especially knowing the Patriots schedule. So that game will matter for the Broncos. Like, they're gonna play their guys and try to beat the Chiefs. And if they can knock the Chiefs out of the playoffs, you don't think that they wouldn't be looking for the chance to do that, because nobody wants to see Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs in the playoffs. So yes, I don't even want to speak about motivation for Denver on Christmas. They will be trying to win that game without any question. So yeah, a lot of these do kind of favor the Chiefs. And then the Raiders is the last game.
Doesn't matter where
I
you
don't care that it's in Vegas. That's going to be especially if the Chiefs need it, that's going to be a bloodbath.
So again, the Colts game this weekend is big in the fact where it gives you the margin for error, I think, for that
to lose
remaining stretch. One of your other, I think mainly your divisional games that you could be concerned about, because both those teams, the Chargers and the Broncos, have already beaten you this year. And so like, maybe it happens again. I don't know. But nobody else on the schedule outside of the division should scare me if I'm a Chiefs fan, if you get past that Colts game this weekend.
I don't disagree, but they could conceivably lose to a team that you're not afraid of them losing to. I don't think they'll lose to the Cowboys or the Texans, but if it happened, like you would go into the game not really guarding against it because you would be assuming like, oh, this is going to be easy peasy. And the moment that happens, I think is the moment your season's done. Like I guess they could make it at 10-7 by tripping up in one of those. But if you lose to either the teams out of the state of Texas, you suddenly have to win against the Chargers and the Broncos.
Right.
Yes, they're home games, but there's risk associated with that. Right now, the odds at the sportsbook I'm looking at -185 to make the playoffs. So you'd have to place a wager of $18.50 if you wanted your profit to be $10. If you're saying yes, they're going to make it. So very much they are still favored to make the playoffs. And I think in particular, when you look at the Steelers' schedule, I would agree with that. But if you don't get the results that you're thinking you're going to out of Pittsburgh, and again, I know the Bears are playing well. I kind of would like to look and see what the spread is on that game this week, because the Steelers and the Bears are both in a spot where they need it. The Bears are -3. They are at home. It would not be crazy for the Steelers to win that game. And then if they do, I think that changes the dynamic of it pretty significantly, because you don't have the tiebreaker over them. And then 11 is not only your target, it would kind of be your must to get to 11 to be able to not rely on whatever like the Steelers tiebreak stuff is going to be at the end of the year, which, like you said, currently it's conference record. And yes, they would pick up maybe some losses in conference because they'd be losing twice to the Ravens, maybe to the Bills. But like having it come down to a tiebreaker when you go 10-7 and the Steelers go 10-7, a team that if you played them on a neutral field, you would beat by 2 touchdowns. Don't let it get to that.
No,
do not let it get to that, which means, beat the Colts. Yeah. Beat the Colts, because that, if you don't, it very quickly, again, you got to win out basically to feel good about their chances to make it.
So call or text us. What % chance would you put on the Chiefs making the playoffs right now? 875-KTGR. Got a text in from Seamus here. 50% Kansas City makes it, 10% if they drop this game to Indy on Sunday.
All right, so what's your percentage?
Well, so here's what I'll base it on, just as the starting point. FPI, ESPN's FPI, I know you've referenced it a lot for college football. They put the Chiefs' % chance of making the playoffs at around 55% right now.
And I'd rather look at the betting odds, which at -185, the implied odds of that occurring are about 65%, a little bit below 65,
which is closer to where I am. I am at 65% that the Chiefs will make the playoffs.
I think that's a reasonable number. And that's, again, I only looked at one sports book. Another might have a better value if you want to bet the Chiefs, but if it's a better value if you want to bet them, it means lower implied probability. I would say that I think of it from a betting perspective. I would wait and see if they lose to the Colts, and then I would still probably bet them, Andy, because I think the odds would change enough that it would be maybe an interesting wager. But I also don't think they're going to lose to the Colts. And yet I don't find myself going, oh, man, I wish it were December 1st so I could bet on it, because I don't really think that it's a great value with a number of the things that can still go wrong or things that can just go right for the number of other teams. Again, we talk about this in baseball down the stretch. It's like, oh, man, you're in the wild card hunt, but look at how many teams you still have to hunt and hop over. It could kind of get to that point for the Chiefs a little bit with the way some of those tiebreakers go. And I only think it would take one or two results that we're not expecting from these teams like the Jaguars to turn. And then you go, oh, man, why didn't Chris Jones try to tackle Trevor Lawrence? Like, it could come down to that sort of thing for the Chiefs. That being said, I'm actually going to say it's a 70% chance they make the playoffs. I'll go even higher because I do think that they'll beat the Colts, because I think backs against the wall, I'm still going to, bet on the Chiefs to come out on the other side of it. I kind of love the Chiefs -3 this week against Indy. Now, this will be one where if I'm wrong, if I'm putting both feet in and I'm wrong about it, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get me back. But yeah, I think that they're in a spot where they know the situation. They're at home. Everybody knows the deal. They'll have to clean it up for this game.
Chiefs about 25% chance, and they will win 10-7. That's from Shane here. Like a 25% chance if they get in. I think that's what he's trying to say. If they're 10-7, then it'd be about a 25% chance. I kind of agree with that. But here's the thing. Like, I still kind of base it on the fact that the Chiefs, even with their flaws, I don't think they're as flawed as the Jaguars or the Steelers or even at times the Chargers. The Chargers have looked good this year. But I think that the Chiefs can have the return result on them once they come to Kansas City here very soon, and it can flip back in their favor. So, look, there's clearly stuff that has to get better. I think it's mainly on the defensive side. There is zero pass rush right now. Chris Jones even had a better game in Denver this past weekend, and it still was not effective as a unit for the Chiefs to get the win necessary against a team that is wanting to run the football. And they tried to, and they couldn't. Like, that still was stuffed by this Chiefs defense. They've done a good job at that this year, but leaving themselves too susceptible to these big plays by allowing the quarterback to operate with more time in the pocket. I just don't understand why on 3rd and 15, they're sending only 3 guys on that last drive that the Broncos had. Like, at that point, it was lost. Like, the Chiefs lost the game on that play. Wasn't because Broncos got a couple first downs after that. Wasn't because, of other stuff that might have happened. No, it was that play right there. 3rd and 15. You got a penalty on them a couple plays before, then an incomplete pass. You got to finish the job and get the ball back in Patrick Mahomes' hands. Like, that just could not happen, and they let it happen for Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, and I didn't like either, like, if you're going to drop somebody into coverage, why is it so soft on that part of the field? Like, there's a lot of aspects to that were unfortunate, but, like, I think too, the offense has to be able to execute a little bit better and not, end up in that type of situation where it can be a 22-19 defeat. Like, you got to turn 3 into 6 more often. You got to be able to execute on your.
They did it more often than the Broncos, though. So, like, I don't know if that was it. Now,
they didn't do it often enough. I mean, it was evidenced by the final score. You've got to be able to. You shouldn't have to play in a 19-19 rock fight with.
Well, I would recommend
the best quarterback of all time.
I would recommend turning 6 into 7. Didn't do that every time.
Well, and we've known since the beginning of the year that was going to be something that followed them, and they've, can't have Harrison Mevis now, but I bet they wish they had him. Well, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's the thing too, that I know that a lot of teams around the league are dealing with that, of not having a consistent kicker. But I think it's interesting that, like, well, how long do you allow for previous success to dictate what you're going to do in the here and now at a position like this, where when the fall off happens for kickers, it happens, and, like, it's inevitable. You gave me a lot of flack last year when I said, like, Justin Tucker, I don't care about the off the field. He should have been off the Ravens because he wasn't making kicks. I kind of feel the same way about Butker at this point. It's fans have complained about it. I know it's not a guarantee to get anybody better, but to just say, well, he's been so good for so long, so he's whatever.
I mean, the contract now is a problem with that. He's got a kicker contract that not a lot of kickers have.
Yes, so, they did that to themselves. I don't know
that's
what to
the issue.
About that.
Now, granted, I don't know how much of it was on him, the missed extra point. It was blocked. It's more so on the alignments up front and maybe some miscommunication on how that happened. So, I mean, for this particular scenario, not sure if that was the case, but Butker still has missed some kicks that you are not used to him missing at points in the season. So, or at least to the standard of which he is being treated by his own organization, giving him all that type of commitment. So, like, look, it's all little things that have added up. Yes, I agree that Mahomes can be better. Yes, I agree that they can protect him a little bit better, and that receivers can get open a little more often and everything like that. I'm not saying it's all perfect. It does look, that aspect of it, I'm not as worried about, though, because they have everybody, and it's looked better than it did last year, a year where they went 15-2. And so, like, I'm looking at everything else, and I'm saying, like, guys, shape up. You've got the offense back. That needs to be the priority going forward, and it'll be the reason why they win games that propel them back into the playoff conversation, because they were able to get a pass rush, and they were able to defend a little bit better than they have in these situations. So that's all that could be. But if you want to chime in, call or text us at 573-875-KTGR. We'll talk more about the Chiefs, more about their chances in the playoffs, and up next, the coaching carousel. It's only going to get louder for the next couple of weeks. Getting pretty loud today with an actual piece of news for what the coaching carousel would bring. That's next.
Breaking down the Tigers, Cardinals, Chiefs, and more like no one else. The Big Show continues next on KTGR.
If you're craving something delicious, find your way to the Pasta Factory, where everything's made from scratch daily. Their fresh sauces, cakes, quiche, dressings, and soups are sure to tantalize your taste buds. And all pasta entrees are cooked, baked, and tossed to order. Don't leave without sampling those homemade desserts, lovingly crafted by Jason and Rob. Good. The Pasta Factory. Visit them at 3103 West Broadway Business Park, right in front of Walmart. Closed Mondays and Tuesdays. The Pasta Factory, where fresh meets flavor.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Free-for-all RV Road Warriors, your best blast of Branson just turned into a bad day bummer. You ran out of gas, blew a tire, killed your battery, are sitting sideways in a ditch, and managed to lock yourselves out. Ouch. Hey, it could happen. And for the save, you call I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for roadside assistance, too. Fuel, tires, batteries, locks, winching, you name it. When your world seems to have been wrecked, call the team they hope you never have to meet. I70towing.com. Now serving Boonville. Winching.
This is Nevada Schauke with True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, and I'm the Exterior Director of Sales. In the construction industry, the last few years, we've had a roller coaster ride. One thing that has stayed pretty consistent or common is that vendors have continued to raise prices on materials. We have called up to collaborate with some of our large vendors that we work with to offer some year-end promotions. If you're looking to replace your roof, upgrade your deck to composite, replace your old worn-out windows and doors, give us a call. We also offer several financing options to meet most budgets. Your project must be purchased by the end of the year. This is a unique opportunity to save some money on your next home renovation.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
You know your former golf bag? It's not just holding up the weed whacker on your garage wall. It's also holding cash. Same goes for that rowing machine you swore you'd use once. At Play It Again Sports, turn your gently used gear into money in your pocket. Bring in your old golf equipment, fitness gear, softball bats, baseball cleats, and more. Cash out and keep it, or trade up to something better. Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Think of them first, so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
This is Kim with Hearing Aid Consultants. I am truly honored to be voted Jefferson City's best, and that wouldn't have happened without our genuine and outstanding patients. We focus on continually serving those struggling with hearing loss with the best value in hearing aid technology in the area. If you are interested in a comprehensive hearing evaluation and solutions, please see us in Jefferson City, Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmake Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
My name is Nick Rasmussen, and I used Phyllis Nichols to get my life insurance. So I really wanted to get a term policy that would cover us for the next 20 years. For some reason, something happened to me, knowing that my wife was going to be taken care of. Life insurance is a really tricky topic, and working with Phyllis, she talked about all the ins and the outs, what I was getting, why should I do whole life or term, all those different types of products that are out there can be incredibly confusing. Phyllis will sit down and go through all of those with you. I just know that she's always got my best interest at heart, and everybody in town should use her the next time they're getting a quote.
Tired of calling Andy and Brenden? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
Chiefs fans, tell us what you think the percent chances are of them making the playoffs now. 875-KTGR. You're on the Big Show. Jason texting him. We need to run the ball 20 to 25 times to open up everything else. Play calling is everything right now. I mean, I wouldn't mind them running more, even with Kareem Hunt out there. He ran it 13 times for 59 yards. That's 4.5 per carry, and that's not bad. Like, that keeps you on schedule. And he, for the most part, was. I think they could maybe go back at some spots where they were starting off a series with an incomplete pass and were left at 2nd and 10 and maybe thinking, if we carved out 4, maybe 5 yards instead of trying to do that, then maybe things go a little bit better on this drive or that drive or whatever. But I think you can look at that, and maybe Pacheco coming back next week allows them to get that. We don't know if that's actually going to happen. Maybe it will, maybe not. But you do have to give your offense more of a chance by getting off the field quicker with your defense. And they had several chances to do that on Sunday and just failed to get it.
Yeah, I think all the way around. I know it's a tough thing to go into a road environment, divisional opponent who's having a really good year, but I think all the way around there were things that were definitely left on the table in that game. And so I think rightfully they came up short. Like, I don't think they played like they deserved to win that game. And that was the result they ended up getting.
And so will they change against Jonathan Taylor and the Colts? Stopping the run going to be pretty important in that game.
Yeah.
Chiefs have been good at it, but they'll need to be good at it again for that one, because that's an important one for your chances. Tell us what you think about the Chiefs. 875-KTGR here on The Big Show with Andy and Brenden. Okay, James Franklin now at Virginia Tech.
Yep.
That is, according to the reports, happening. And so that's the first domino. Take him off the candidate list for some of these other schools. I don't think there was much of a chance that an SEC team would do it. Maybe Arkansas would have done it.
I think Arkansas very much could have been in play for him. I don't know whether they tried or were, but like the opening was there. They're a program that's been, a little bit down. And James Franklin's a good coach. I think he's a great hire for Virginia Tech. Yeah. And again, I have been lamenting the timing of it all, knowing that if Mizzou is going to be looking for a coach, it's going to happen later. And we're not going to know it until the end of the season. And that James Franklin would probably already be taken up. I would have been happy to, if Mizzou had to come up with a list, I would have been happy to put his name on it. Obviously, that wasn't going to line up, but I think it's a good hire for VT.
Yeah, the perfect fit, I think, for both sides there. And so that's taken care of. We know that Shane Beamer is not going to bolt for Virginia Tech, if maybe that was a possibility.
Yeah, good point.
So that maybe South Carolina decides to move on instead, but we shall see. Otherwise, Lane Kiffin. Lots of rumors / reports swirling around his situation.
Yeah.
Whether it was him or his family visiting Gainesville or Baton Rouge or both. Ole Miss maybe trying to put some pressure on him to say, hey, what are you actually going to do?
That's been an interesting report today, basically saying that, is there going to be, and I don't know if this is factual, but like the reporting is that they're kind of looking to get it resolved and understand what he's looking to do this week. And if not, then I don't know what the if not would be, but it is, reportedly that they would like some clarity, which I think is extremely fair. If you're Ole Miss, like, I don't know what he's going to do either, but it really feels like from an outside perspective that there are two schools that are, Florida, that one has just been, the drumbeat's been very loud, and maybe even LSU. Like, if you're Ole Miss and you're going to the playoff, like, that's the difference between them and us right now, is like Mizzou knows it's not in the playoff running, and like the distraction thing is what it is. Like, I don't want them to be distracted, but if they are by the Drinkwitz talk, then all right, you win 7, 8 games instead of 9. Like, okay, but for Ole Miss, there's a lot to still play for, more than just trying to sit here and talk about the things we could still play for. That is a national championship still at play. I don't know what you do. It's not an enviable position that Ole Miss is in right now, and Lane Kiffin is not doing anything to take him out of it either.
Because I don't think it would happen, but if he theoretically decided to leave after coaching them in the playoff, you would have to think that they are hoping to last longer than December 20th and like, coaching into the New Year's window, like where the quarterfinals would happen. And then even potentially after that, like that's at least what you shoot for, right? And so if you coach that long and then you leave, then the next guy doesn't get any portal time to work with. And you have to work off of that. So like,
and isn't it going to be fairly obvious? Like, if it's Florida and they haven't hired anybody and Ole Miss is just plugging along in the playoffs, aren't we all going to go,
right?
Oh,
we know. Like, you've got it. You've got an agreement in principle, maybe not quite in writing yet, but like that's happening if that's the case.
And Andy, I don't know if this is like a realistic idea. And there's talk about, well, would they let him coach in the playoffs? I think your best chance to win the national championship is to let him coach in the playoffs. Yeah. Would it be possible that it would be announced he's going to Florida and yet tries to
let him coach? Know. Oh, I don't know if he would want to do that. Like,
I don't think so, but like, I don't know. This is kind of unprecedented with this era of college football. This was inevitable that it would happen eventually.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the right answer is on that. I really don't. I really don't know.
All kinds of different scenarios. I don't know.
I agree with you. That wouldn't happen. There's no way he wouldn't want to do it. They wouldn't want to have him, but maybe, I don't know. Stranger things have happened. Maybe
it's not
maybe
the same as like something that Eli Drinkwitz has done in the past. I don't know if he's done it every single year, but I know in one year he has done this where Mizzou has been playing in a bowl game, but he has allowed players that are either planning to enter the portal or have done it to play with his team in the bowl game, even though they're
happy to have you.
Yeah, like
you're
so
on the team,
and I'm sure that'll happen this year, especially since the portal doesn't open until January 2nd. So like, this is all different though. Like, sure, you could have an interim who knows the system and knows all the plays and everything like that to sit in the chair at least for potential playoff games, but it is not the same, man. Like it's a completely different leader. How would the team feel
I don't know.
Their own leader decided to bail before they actually get to the point that they have been building to this whole time? Like, again, Ole Miss is not in these positions all that often either.
No,
like, this
this
is new territory for them, kind of.
I hate how this is feeling as a Mizzou fan, feeling like Drinkwitz is going to leave and not really knowing what's going to happen. It would be brutal to be an Ole Miss fan right now.
I would hate
you're
it.
Like, you're achieving the goals that you have tried for so long to be able to achieve, and you're in that situation. I do not envy that one bit.
I mean, they are most likely going to be a playoff team, so I kind of envy that. But I mean, it would feel very weird.
Yeah, it does. And like, again, that's why I kind of ask: is it possible to have him coach it if they could say, look, he's leaving, or maybe he's leaving, and like be kind of out public about it and have him coach it? How bizarre would that be? At that point, bizarre. Isn't it like it's a team full of mercenaries? Because not one of them can be expected to stay, and you can't blame any of the players at that point either. But they're like, our team that's current this year could win a national championship. Let's try to do that.
Ironically, this also played out in Friday Night Lights. The coach took a job, still coached the state championship game.
Yikes. The parallels.
Too many parallels to the fantasy world.
And
yes, modern college football has reached that in 2025. Apparently. It's just
I don't
insane.
think it would be impossible. I know it sounds insane, but like I don't think we can take anything off the table because we haven't really ever seen it, and I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but I think they could say, yeah, he's going to Florida, but he's going to coach it out. Like, you see it with coordinators who are taking a head coaching job. They'll coach out the playoff run, but that's obviously different because they're a coordinator and then they're taking a upgraded job. There are many who would say, Florida is not an upgraded job over Ole Miss, so why are you doing it? And there's going to be hurt feelings there. But like, I don't know. Like you said, does it compromise the chances to win the title if you have an interim in there? Does it help them because they're going to rally around the interim? I don't know.
Fascinating stuff. It could affect Mizzou down the line. Who knows? 573-875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on that. We will, coming up, weigh in on not necessarily Drinkwitz's comments directly, but maybe what the TV broadcaster Tom Hart kind of relayed from the production meeting and gave out on the air during the Mississippi State game. So we'll give our thoughts on that, as well as Mizzou men's basketball in action again tonight against Prairie View A&M, all coming up here on The Big Show.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good evening, I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. Mizzou running back Ahmad Hardy named the SEC Co-Offensive Player of the Week after his 300-yard rushing performance, along with 3 touchdowns against Mississippi State. Tigers won the game 49-27. Also, Co-Defensive Player of the Week was Mizzou corner Toriano Pride Jr., pick 6 and a long fumble recovery return on a field goal attempt by Mississippi State, helping him earn those honors as Mizzou gets set to take on a top 10 team in Oklahoma on the road this Saturday. And according to Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports, there is a possibility that Beau Pribula could be the quarterback. Says there's early optimism that he may be able to return to action even just after 3 weeks after suffering a nasty ankle injury versus Vanderbilt. Chiefs fall to the Broncos on the road 22-19 and fall 3.5 games behind the Broncos in the AFC West race. They're 5-5 and will take on the 8-2 Indianapolis Colts at noon on Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium. Mizzou men's basketball tonight takes on Prairie View A&M at 7 o'clock, looking to remain unbeaten. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Steve's Pest Control. The fall invasion is here. Call Steve and the pros at Steve's Pest Control today or visit stevespestcontrol.com.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. It'll be a breezy evening with mostly cloudy skies and an isolated shower or storm with lows around 50 degrees. Expect more sunshine tomorrow. We're going to see a high near 70 degrees. Then by Wednesday, clouds return behind a cold front. It'll be chillier with temperatures in the upper 50s to around 60. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Chiefs Kingdom lives here.
This is the Chiefs Kingdom.
Kansas City! Tune in every Monday night at 6 for the Chiefs Kingdom Show, hosted by the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holtis. Hear from head coach Andy Reid and your favorite Chiefs players all season long. After every game, enter the doors to the Chiefs Kingdom. Monday nights at 6, powered by Macadoodles, Steve's Pest Control, and your total sports station for all things Chiefs. KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Lee's Tire Company. They are knowledgeable car people, great folks to work with, and they make sure you get a great deal, too. If you head over to leestirecompany.com, you can check out all of the great rebates that you can get on select tires. And if you're in the market for new tires right now, well, now's a great month to do it because Lee's Tire Company all throughout the month of November is giving you a free front-end alignment if you buy 4 new tires. So not only are you getting a top-notch crew to find the right tires for your vehicle, but you're also getting that free front-end alignment. Again, good through the end of this month. So head into Lee's Tire Company to take advantage of that now. And on top of that, their work is backed up by a 36 months, 36,000 miles nationwide warranty. Keeps you safe on the road, keeps you safe in your wallet as well. Head into Lee's Tire Company. There are 2 locations in Columbia, one on the Business Loop, another one at University Garage right by the MU campus, or their location in Centralia, or online at leestirecompany.com. Because if it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. leestirecompany.com.
This year, take a bite out of one holiday hassle and have your festive feast expertly prepared by Main Event Catering. The chefs of Courtyard by Marriott Columbia. Ready for pickup? You'll spend less time in the kitchen and more smiles with family. All the favorites: turkey, ham, prime rib, roast beef, even fried chicken, and more. Plus, any of the side dishes and desserts your crew craves. Treat to your family with Main Event Catering. Order Holiday Magic today. 443-8000, 443-8000, and jingle all the way.
Hey, Lenny. George, good to see you. Yeah, well, it ain't so good to see you, pal. I wish you'd kept quiet all those years. Family Pawn's got all the hunting gear people need to do exactly that. Bows, scopes, ammo, everything. Doing what, George? Look at you, mounted on the wall for everybody to see. Not gonna lie, George. I sort of like hanging around. Their fireplace feels real nice.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
I want to go to Family Pawn.
Macadoodles does selection like nobody else. If you're looking for ingredients to make the perfect new drink, look no further. Why settle for boring? Macadoodles has you covered. With Columbia's widest variety of beer, wine, and spirits, you're sure to find something new and exciting when you shop with Macadoodles. Come experience the difference in selection at Macadoodles today. Macadoodles delivers world-class customer service and unmatched selection at unbeatable prices. Who does selection like nobody else? Macadoodles does.
I'm Michael Agnew with API Project Fitness. At API, we're dedicated to helping you reach your fitness goals with workouts that are motivating, challenging, and effective. Our group classes are high energy and designed to maximize your time with efficient movements and smooth flow. There are real results here to find, whether you're just starting out or ready to push it to the next level. API is where hard work meets progress. Everyone needs a fitness routine. Let us be yours. Sign up today for a free trial at apiprojectfitness.com.
The Big O Tires Black Friday sale is on. It's the biggest sale of the year. Now through December 7th, buy 3 tires and get the 4th free on select sets. That's right, buy 3 tires and get the 4th free. And the savings don't stop there. Get up to $120 off select sets of Michelin tires. Get rolling with huge savings before they're gone. Only at your locally owned and operated Big O Tires, the team you trust.
We got you covered at Big O. If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
Well, we're starting to see some dominoes fall in the college football coaching carousel. It looks like James Franklin is now official. They're going to announce him on Wednesday. And, well, the Lane Kiffin situation with Ole Miss on a bye this week.
Oh, baby.
Very, very
If Florida had beaten them, and that was kind of a close game for a while, it could have been even more interesting. I don't know. I feel like that's the first domino to fall is this week of, hey, here's our ultimatum, which, like, I don't even know what the ultimatum is, but they're reportedly, with reports coming out today, Ole Miss would like some clarity. And I don't know what happens if Lane Kiffin doesn't provide it for them, but it gets interesting. And I feel like that's the next thing to kind of happen in this crazy carousel that will be probably ultimately, by the time it's all said and done, about as wild as any we've ever seen. I mean, with all the big time Power 4 jobs and SEC jobs that are coming open, Big Ten jobs, it's going to be a wild one.
Sure will. Maybe it happens here in Columbia. We don't know. Eli Drinkwitz at the center of it. And it was even talked about on the TV broadcast on SEC Network this past Saturday when the Tigers were beating up on Mississippi State. And so Tom Hart, Columbia native, of course, MIZ.
Shout out to Tom.
He's great, man. That essentially asked about him in the production meeting and like relayed, kind of paraphrasing what he could say on the record, I suppose, from their meeting with Drinkwitz. When he asked him, like, is it about money? Is that what it's all about? And paraphrased, Hart said from Drinkwitz, no, I've got all the money. It's about alignment. It's about getting people invested in the program. It's about getting the Fortune 500 companies in the state to get behind us. He seemed to claim that none of the Fortune 500 companies are advertising in the building. I mean, there is at least a couple. Like
that's a concern.
So, like,
I'll tell you that's
is
a concern.
Is there not more? Sure. Like, maybe not as many as Drink wants.
I'm saying it's a concern that Drink phrased it that way if it's not even true.
Sure.
Because that is an indicator. That's an indicator of laying the groundwork for a reason that you're going to leave.
So that's how you took it.
That is how I take it, because Drinkwitz doesn't misspeak. And again, it's a little tricky because you're relaying it through what happened in a production meeting rather than being able to quote him directly. But I'll trust, Tom Hart's journalistic abilities to know what was said and relay it appropriately. So I think it's notable that if what he said was none of them do and some of them do, it's an indicator to me that's like, well, if and when something should come to pass, the groundwork will have been laid. Drink is going to have to address this tomorrow, not meaningfully if he chooses not to address it meaningfully, but I would be shocked if he's not asked about it on Tuesday at the weekly press conference. Whatever he chooses to do with it is his prerogative. He won't come in thinking it's not going to be asked, though. He will be prepared, and he will, probably not be thrilled about it, and his demeanor as he talks about it will probably be one of those kind of more gruff Eli Drinkwitz moments, if I had to guess. But it's come to a head in a way that, like, I get it. Oklahoma's a big game, and that's what he's going to focus on, right? He's going to say, I can't believe anybody would ask me about this. But I think the brave soul that does it, it's appropriate because it's timely. It's something that people are talking about. It was discussed on the broadcast. If he didn't think it would be, I don't know why he would say it to Tom Hart and company. So, yeah, I think it's something that'll maybe not the big picture of the coaching everything, but like that question about the Fortune 500 comment specifically may come up tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see.
It'll be interesting, and we'll see what it means for the rest of the season. But I can't say you're wrong that he could lay the groundwork for leaving. It could be a cry for like those Fortune 500 companies saying, like,
yes,
hey, this is what I need.
It's a soft ultimatum.
Sure.
Like, again, Drinkwitz is, I give him all the credit in the world for the marketing, the way that he approaches these things, I think are always calculated because I give him credit for being very good at this. And so I don't know that you answer the question in that way if it's not something that's on your mind and if it's not something that you want maybe to be publicly heard that you said it in some way, relayed in some capacity. Because you're right. Like, I think at the end of the day, if Drink had everything that he was looking for to stay, I think he'd be happy to stay. I don't think he's like desperate to leave, but I think there are going to be some programs that are offering him an opportunity potentially that if you're looking at the deficiencies here, like when it comes to that corporate sponsorship level, like that unlocks kind of a new level to the NIL, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, beyond what you're talking about with your revenue sharing stuff, there's going to probably be some of that at a Penn State and some of these other institutions that may offer him a job in the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, I think if he's like, man, I like Columbia, Missouri, and would love to stay here. And if you're asking, here's a thing that, yeah, if they could figure this part of it out, we'd even be in a better spot to be able to achieve the goals. So I don't think there's anything disingenuous about it. I think it's legit. I just think it's a little bit troubling because, well, I don't work at any of those companies to be able to convince them to spend the money on sponsorships for Mizzou or for the stadium or for whatever. And so if the powers that be are not able to compel those organizations to do it, unfortunately, the era that we're in for college football, that means Mizzou's going to be a step behind. And a step behind means that your hot commodity of a head coach may decide to go somewhere else. And that is not something that I want to see happen.
I don't think most Mizzou fans want to see that happen either. We'll see if it does. All right, tonight, what's your score prediction? Mizzou men's hoops against Prairie View A&M.
103-65.
Okay.
I think they cover the 35.5 point spread.
Okay.
I really do think the tempo, a team that stinks and plays fast against Mizzou, could be kind of fun to watch. I think they hit 100.
That's fair. I'll go 98, 65.
Not 67, 67, no.
I'll be so happy that Mizzou keeps them underneath that score. Doesn't give anybody a chance to do that.
Please let them score 67 points. It would be so funny.
Thanks for joining us. We're back tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Mizzou Men's Hoop starts at 6:30. Coverage here. He's Brenden. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
You're not the kind to make a nice little snow angel